Today's lesson is translating verbal expressions. So we're going to put something in one form and change it to a different form. We're translating it. So translating is changing, but it still represents the same thing. The goal, I'll let you read that. It's a little different than what's on your paper, but it still means the same thing. Going to the vocabulary, whatever you see come up in a color, please put that down in your notes. So variable, a symbol for a number we do not know yet. The symbol that we're going to use in 6th grade that represents a variable, they're going to be letters. So you can use A, B, C, D, any of the 26 letters of our alphabet. And that is what we call the variable. It's a symbol. Expression, numbers, symbols, and operators grouped together that show the value of something. An example of expressions, 2 plus x. It has a number, a symbol, and an operator. Another example of an expression, 4 times 2 plus 3 in parentheses. Numbers, symbol, parentheses, and an operator. And the other one I put on there, a divided by 5. Okay? There are many more. Many more. Equation says 2 things are equal. It will have an equal sign present. An example in the equation, 4 plus 3 equals 7. This side is equal to this side. This side, that's the 2 parts. Another example, x plus 10 equals 20. The last part is already all defined for you, but I will give you the example. So please read through the definition. So what it's saying is the order that you add, it doesn't matter. And also the order that you multiply doesn't matter. Here are some examples to make that a little bit more clear. 10 plus 2, I'm adding, right? That is the same as 2 plus 10. I can switch the position of 2 and 10, and the sum is still the same. 3 times 5, that is, it has the exact same product as 5 times 3. I switched the order of the factors 3 and 5, and the product didn't change. That's what that property is saying. All right, in class with the kiddos, I gave them this, and then I said, if you saw that, how would you write it or say it in words? So think right now, if you saw that expression, how would you say it? Would you say 10 plus 15? Would you say the sum of 10 and 15? Would you say 15 more than 10? There are definitely other ways that you can say it. Here's another one. How would you say it? 2 to the 3rd power? 2 cubed? 2 times 2 times 2? How about this one? The difference of 4 and 3? 4 take away 3? 3 less than 4? How about this one? 24 thirds? 24 divided by 3? The quotient of 24 and 3? Now these aren't on your notes, but it's getting you thinking. And what it's doing is it's having you translate. I'm giving you an expression and asked you to think about how you would say it. That's translating, taking it from one form to another. That's what we're doing today, 6th graders. Except this time, there might be a variable, like this here. The sum of x and 7. 7 more than x. So it's using the same idea, except this time there's an unknown value. So going to the second chunk in your notes, you have this chart. And we're going to be writing some things on this chart, and then the examples are off to the right. The first thing I want to work on with this chart is recognizing where and is. And I want to do that when we're using the words sum, difference, product, quotient. So starting with sum, that's an addition word, right? Slide your finger over to the example. The sum of a number and 5. We want to translate that to an expression. Since sum is being used, I want you to find and. Notice where it is. Where and is, that's where we're going to put our plus sign in our translation. So go ahead and circle and in your chart there and put a plus sign above it. Going to the example, the sum of a number and 10. Let me grab my marker, sorry. Sum is being used, so I want to focus on the word and. That and tells me where to bring my plus sign in my expression. So the sum of a number, I don't know what the number is, so I need to use a symbol for an unknown value. I need to use a variable. Pick a letter. I'm going to use x. So the sum of a number and, I know I have to bring my plus sign in, 10. There's the translation. Okay. Going back to our chart, let's go to subtraction. Focus on the difference of. Drag your finger over to the example. The difference of a number and 3. Notice that and. That tells us where to bring the subtraction sign in. Please circle that in your notes and put the subtraction sign above it. So if we slide over to the translation, it's a variable minus 3. The difference of a number and 3. Going to our example, we're going to practice writing one. The difference of a number and 5. I'm using difference, so my eyes are going to go to the and that's where I'm going to bring in my subtraction when I'm reading it. The difference of a number, I don't know what the number is, so I'm going to pick a letter. That's going to be my variable. It represents a value that's unknown. I'm going to pick x again. So the difference of a number and tells me to bring in my subtraction, 5. There's the translation. How are we doing? Okay? Going to multiplication, find the product of. The product of 14 and a number. So I drag my finger over to the example. Since I'm using product, I'm going to focus on the word and. That and tells me where to put my multiplication sign. Now, if I use a multiplication sign that isn't x, I could get confused. Is that a variable or is it a multiplication sign? So please don't use x to represent multiplication anymore. Let's use a dot, and then I'll show you one other way to write a multiplication problem. So the product of 14 and a number is the same as 14 times x, which we can write as just 14x. Okay? Now, before I move on, 14x. Some of you might go, Ms. Kluver, couldn't you use the dot like you did over the and? Absolutely, but that's not the most professional way to write it. Mrs. Kluver, couldn't you use the parenthesis? Sure, but you don't need to. Okay? We don't need that because we can clearly see that that's a 14 and that's an x. That they're two different things, a number and a letter. So if we go to the example in our notes, there we go. Looks like I've got to move this a little bit here. It says the product of a number and 7. Since I'm using product, I'm going to focus on the word and. This and, when I read it, tells me to bring in my multiplication sign. Okay? So the product of a number, I'm going to pick a variable. And, that's my multiplication sign, 7. Now, this isn't the most professional way to write this. So I want to write it in the most professional way. I want to write it as 7x. And you might say, oh, Mrs. Kluver, 7 should come after a number. And, well, technically that's how it's read up here, but that commutative property says, hey, x times 7, that's going to give you the same product as 7 times x. So that, the most professional way to write it is with that number in front and right next to the variable. Okay? So there's the translation. Looking at division, find the quotient of. Drag your finger over to the example. The quotient of a number and 7. When I read that and, that tells me to bring in my division symbol. Which, when we're working in our algebra unit, we want to use the fraction bar as our division symbol. And that will be a lot more clear when it comes to solving equations, why we want to use that fraction bar. So look, dragging our finger over to the translation, we have the quotient of a number, which we got to pick a variable, and, that's our division sign, 7. Let's look at the example in your notes. The quotient, move this up a little bit. The quotient of a number and 2. Since I'm using quotient, I'm going to go to that and. That and is when I need to bring in my division symbol. So the quotient of a number, pick a variable, and 2. Could you flip this around and have 2 on top? No. Division and subtraction do not have a commutative property. So the order that you write those, it matters, or the value of what you're trying to get, or the value of what you're trying to display is going to be different. Okay? The next two things I want to focus on are the words more than and less than. So going back to the chart in our notes, okay, more than implies addition, so find more than. Okay, and then drag your finger over to the example. 10 more than a number. Box in 10 more than and do an arrow to the back. That 10 more than, that needs to come in after we translate a number. So if you see over here, if you drag your finger over to the translation, it's x plus 10. So 10 came at the end, even though in our words it came at the beginning. So that's why that box is there and the arrow, because it's telling us all of that needs to come after we translate a number. So going to our example, it actually is with less than. So looking at subtraction, find less than. It's actually the exact same example in here. It's 4 less than a number. Let's box in 4 less than, and that all has to come after we translate a number. Okay? So you can slide your finger over and see that the translation for 4 less than a number is x minus 4. I'll do that a little bit bigger here, so you can also do it in your example. So all of this has to come at the end. 4 less than a number. A number, it's unknown, I get to pick a variable, so let's pick x, and I have 4 less than that. So all of this comes after I translate a number. Okay? I have one more for you up here. It's not in your notes, but you can help me with it. 10 fewer than twice a number. Fewer than and less than are the same thing. So we're going to use the box and the arrow. 10 fewer than comes in after I translate twice a number. Twice, I need to translate that with multiplication. That means 2 times. So 2 times a number, I need to bring in my variable, we'll say x, okay? And now I need to bring in 10 fewer. Fewer than implies subtraction, and I have 10. Now this would not be the most professional way to write it, because we know with multiplication, the most professional way is to have that number and that variable directly next to each other without anything in between to represent multiplication. So we would want to write this as 2x minus 10. That would be the most professional translation for those words. Okay? If you want to put this example right here somewhere in your notes so that you have it, go for it. So this was focusing on more than and less than. The final part brings us to the last 3 examples in your notes, focusing back with sum and difference. Okay? I'll back that up. Alright, so this example says the sum of 3 times a number and 5. What I want you to do in your chart is, we said that when we see sum, that and tells us where to put our plus sign. Also when you see sum, what I want you to do is bring in parentheses. Okay? And then at the end you can ask yourself, do I need the parentheses or do I not need the parentheses? So, the sum of 3 times a number and 5. Well, since I'm talking about sum, I'm going to bring in those parentheses. Okay? Since I'm talking about sum, this and tells me when to bring in my plus sign. Okay? So now I have the sum of 3 times a number. 3 times means multiply. So I'm multiplying 3 by a number. A number is my variable. I need to pick a letter. So 3 times x. I'll pick x. Notice I did it in the most professional way. And, bring in my plus sign, 5. And what I forgot, 6th graders, was my parenthesis there. So I apologize. Now you want to ask yourself, do you need the parentheses around 3 times x plus 5? No, you do not. You're going to do it in the same order, whether the parentheses are there or not. Okay? There's the translation. Let's practice that again. So, 3 times the sum of a number and 5. Ms. Kluber, that sounds very similar to the one we just did. You're right, it does. However, the translation is different. So, since I have sum, bring in my parenthesis right by sum, all the way to the end. Since I have sum, I want to focus on that and. That tells me where to bring in my plus sign. So now we have 3 times the sum. So I have 3, and then I have my parentheses. Does that mean 3 times whatever is in the parentheses? It does. So 3 times the sum of a number, I gotta pick a variable, so I'll pick x, and bring in my plus sign, 5. Now ask yourself, do we need this parentheses here? Yes, we do, because we need to focus on x plus 5 first before we multiply by 3. So these parentheses need to stay. There is the correct translation. Okay. See how these two are different? They sound the same, but they translate differently. Let's do the last one. I'm going to erase these, so make sure you have all this down in your notes. Last one. Twice the difference of 5 times a number and 8. So going back to difference in our chart, difference is 1, 2, where when you see it, you want to bring in that parenthesis. Okay? And focus on that word and. So twice the difference, there's difference, bring in my parenthesis, and then put it at the end, of 5 times a number and, since I'm talking about difference, my and, that tells me where I bring in my subtraction. Okay? Now let's go back and let's start translating. Twice implies 2 times something. So 2, and then I have my parenthesis, the difference of 5 times a number. 5 times a number. 5 times, do I know what the number is? No, I need to pick a variable, so I'm going to pick x. So 5 times a number, most professional way to write it, and is my subtraction sign, 8. Now ask yourself, do you need do you need this set of parentheses? Yes, you do, because you need to focus on 5 times x minus 8 first before you multiply by 2. So those parentheses got to stay. These two right here, 6th graders, are really challenging. Those are definitely a step above, okay? Today's lesson focused all on translating, so taking words and writing them as expressions. We focused on key things like sum, difference, product, quotient, and those directed us to the word and. And when we said and, that's when we put that whatever operator we were referring to. We focused on more than and less than, boxing those parts in and moving those to the very end of the phrase. And the final thing we talked about was with sum and difference, put parentheses around them. And then when you finish translating, ask yourself, do you need those parentheses? Check over your notes, make sure you're taking great notes. If you haven't, figure out what you need to add. Maybe you might have to rewind some things. And if you have any questions, make sure you ask. Have a great rest of your day.